Hi, and welcome to this episode of Conversation with a Chef. I'm Jo Ritty, and I love sharing with you the conversations I get to have with talented and passionate chefs. It's the backstory, if you will, to the food they're putting up. I begin today by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the lands and airwaves where this conversation took place. Land which was never ceded. Land where communities came together to eat seasonally, locally, and without exhausting resources. I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and to any First Nations people listening today. Today I'm talking to John Cassie at the Wine Corner store. Walking up Canning Street to the Wine Corner store on a sunny day is joyous. There are people sitting at outside tables and lounging on the grass strip in the middle of the road with bottles of wine and snacks, catching up with friends and enjoying the tease of a possible early spring. It's a vibe. Stevie Mifsud-Ellul opened the Wine Corner store back in 2016 with the concept of mirroring the relationships that milk bar owners have with the neighbourhood. But instead of selling milk, bread and lollies, he sells wines, beers and delicious food. One of the more unique things about the Wine Corner store is that people can enjoy a bottle of wine that would usually cost hundreds of dollars at a restaurant because Stevie sells it at retail price. Heading the kitchen is John. John has worked at several of my favourite Melbourne venues, including the Palace Hotel, Verge, Cutler Co, Bar Liberty, Capitano, Old Palm Liquor, Waxflower and Atticus Finch. John and I sat down and had a lovely chat with a glass of wine, and then I was invited to stay on with my partner for dinner, or more realistically, the feast that John sent out. John is a master of flavour, and I'd be hard-pressed to say which dish was my favourite. I started with briny sweet Sydney rock oysters from front of house Miles's family's oyster farm in Lake Wonboyn on the remote far south coast of New South Wales. Delicious. There are also some Maltese leaning dishes, which was a nod to Stevie's heritage, such as the Bigilla, a hearty Maltese broad bean dip served with warm house-made flatbread. Then there was a pork rendang croquette with charred pineapple and a stunning Jerusalem artichoke dish with romesco. We also shared the fettuccini with duck and radicchio ragu and a seafood Moqueca, which owes its origins to Brazil and perhaps John's earlier travels throughout South America. I loved it all, and I'm already thinking about when I can go back for more. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Very well. Good job.
And what have you been doing in the kitchen today?
So just prepping. We've got a function tonight. Upstairs, 24 people, 40th birthday. So just been prepping for that.
Yeah.
So
do you choose the menu or do they choose the menu?
We do a bit of a sample menu for them to kind of get an idea of what we can do, and if we do any, if they have any dietaries or want to sort of change it up a little bit, we can sort of sort of adjust it to their liking. And, yeah.
And how long have you been here now?
I started in March, so about 6 months.
Oh, okay. So you're in the groove now.
Yeah. It's still early days, but it's it's kind of winter. I think was a good chance to sort of get the menu sort of a bit more sort of tuned to sort of ideas that I've had for a long time and wanted to kind of put together and. So I think now coming into sort of spring, summer, it's a good chance to hopefully get a bit busier and get a bit more word of mouth.
It's amazing out there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
I was going to ask you about the menu because you've been in a few kitchens, and then when you move to a new place, you've got ideas you want to try, but is it about, do you have to feel the vibe of the place and the diners as well, or how do when you?
Yeah, definitely. I think. There was already a very established local kind of regular clientele when I started, and I think it's probably a lot more leaning towards snacks and people just sort of casual wanting drinks and just something light to eat. So it's sort of trying to accommodate that, but also offer a bit more in terms of like a dinner sort of sit down kind of like a bit more of a full menu, I suppose, in terms of mains and a bit more substantial food, I guess. That's been still a bit of a trying to get people on board with that, because it can very much depend on what sort of like crowd are in on a certain night as to how much dinner we'll do or how much snacks we'll do. And yeah, it's still a little bit kind of inconsistent, I suppose, in that regard, especially with winter. I think, like I was saying. So,
yeah, that's right.
I think coming in summer will be, hopefully both, and obviously trying to take advantage of the beautiful Verge outside. And,
I know. Yeah. So is that can people drink out on that grass?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We've got the takeaway license.
Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. Although it is giving me slightly lockdown
yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
memories of finding bits of grass. But so when I was looking at the menu, there's lots of really interesting flavours in there. Do you start with flavour or do you start with...
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, definitely like produce is a big one, and like trying to sort of work with the seasons as much as possible and what's in season, and then I think kind of adjusting flavours with what's working with what ingredients, I guess. I think winter, like obviously kind of trying to make a few sort of more hearty options, and but also like I was saying, having a lot of snack kind of just like small yummy bites, and trying to keep it like a little bit of a balance in terms of like some lighter, fresher things and some more robust and wintry warmers.
Yeah. And so when you're having those ideas, are they things that do you like write them down in a notebook, or do you
a little bit. I mean, I think a lot of it is in the couple of weeks before change the menu, sort of like talking with the staff, and also kind of doing a few specials here and there, and just sort of trying things out, seeing what works, and if it's something that like might just need a bit of adjusting before it goes to the menu, or I think it's like try and keep it as organic as possible, and obviously get some feedback from the other chefs I'm working with, because they're full of ideas and really keen and passionate, and it's nice having that kind of collaborative sort of a bit like kind of a team effort in terms of...
well that's right, because we need everyone on board, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, I think like obviously, I kind of worked in a lot of places which have like a lot of different flavor profiles, and like I think often it's kind of not wanting to have too many things kind of clashing on the menu as well, and having a little bit of input, and I think with the front of house guys as well, I feel like everyone here has like eat out a lot and have really good ideas of what works and what flavors, and I think sometimes working in kitchens for so long, it's sort of like it's nice to have a fresh like outside kind of perspective on.
Yeah. Do you have to follow trends?
A little bit. I mean, I think I guess it's sort of natural having worked in Melbourne, especially for the last 4 or 5 years, working in kind of wine bars with a sort of similar, leaning, and I think working in kind of like Old Palm liquor and Waxflower and Bar Liberty and those sorts of places. I think there's definitely, they're trendy places that are kind of creating trends a lot of the time, and so it's hard not to be sort of, sort of inspired by that. And I mean, I think kind of keeping track of what other places are doing around Melbourne is, like obviously interesting to me as well. Very cool seeing what people are doing, and I think, social media I think has really sort of changed the game a bit in terms of how aware people are of what's kind of in trend and what's kind of cool at the minute, and I think people have higher expectations a little bit as well. I think that's sort of I think people know a lot more than they used to. Like just your average kind of punter has like very good idea of like what was probably considered pretty niche before social media was so huge. I mean, it's also, I think there is a lot more borrowing and lending from ideas than there used to be as well. I think nothing's created in a vacuum. It's sort of I think it's good to have a bit of a, I think it's similar to music. When you've got like a live music scene, everyone sort of kind of borrows from each other, and what's kind of cool at the time is music and art and all those sorts of things.
That's good. It sort of sounds very community-based. I was actually at this amazing gig last night at Estonian House. Cash Savage and the Last Drinks.
Oh yeah, love Cash Savage.
And they had got a lot of musicians together, and then all of the money went to the musicians rather than having a middleman. So and it was like, to me, it was just like they were really celebrating community. So I was just saying, it's a good analogy, I guess, between music and the music scene and the food scene. Passionate people as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think there is a lot of overlap. Like I was saying, I think, especially Waxflower, having the sort of DJ, every night having a different DJ, and Old Palm Liquor as well, kind of, very, like, they only play vinyl and very kind of, like, selective on what they play, and, like, music is a big part of it. And I think a lot of places that I've worked have had that, like, very kind of close, kind of creating a vibe, and, like, music is a big part of that. And, I think, same thing here. I feel like everyone here is sort of very into music. And
this is classic. Is this Tosca? Suzuki, maybe?
Yeah, I think, I think...
or one of those ones?
Miles has been... I think that was last night. He was playing Kruger and Dorfmeister.
I was going to say, it's either Total or it's Kruger and Dorfmeister.
Yeah, he listens to a lot of that sort of 90s down-tempo, which is great. The stuff I used to listen to when I was a teenager.
Wow, so you did do some...
Wow. Yeah, I think, a lot of those intertunes compilations and, kind of...
classic.
Yeah, the best.
So good.
And just hearing it was just, like, so nostalgic, and, like, it's great that it's 20 years on and it's 20, 25 years.
Still got its place, I love it.
Yeah.
So I saw on the menu a sauce. Was it the Maltese?
The Bigilla. I think it was a Maltese dip. Bigilla.
Okay.
I think that might be the one. So it's a dried broad bean, just sort of lightly spiced with a bit of cumin and paprika, a bit of confit garlic, some like parsley mixed through, and very robust and like hearty kind of good winter one, I think. And that's Steve, the owner. His Maltese heritage, so that's something that he kind of grew up eating, and like has a lot of nostalgia for him with his grandma. So we usually try and have a few sort of like little Maltese influences here and there. I'm not Maltese, so it's not my background. I mean, I hadn't tried Maltese food, I don't think, before I started working here. But like, really, really delicious flavors, and I think that sort of Italian with a little bit of like kind of Arabic. Like a little bit of its own kind of microcosm, being an island similar to Sicilian, they have those kind of slight different flavour profiles, but very kind of like hearty, robust, really delicious food.
I'm actually really intrigued by Malta because my grandparents, rightly or wrongly, lived there. They were English and lived there just after the war in the 50s for 5 years, and there was a big expat community, much to the Maltese people's disgust, but that was the best time of their life. But when they talk about Malta, it was just like this incredible time.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I think, like so many of those islands in the Mediterranean are just incredibly picturesque.
Yeah. So that's a dip, is it?
Yeah.
So what are you dipping into it?
So we do a flatbread. Just pretty standard, kind of fried in olive oil, so it sort of puffs up and gets those nice sort of bit of char and crusty sort of do that to order every time, so it's warm and yummy, and the dip is great. A little bit of chopped parsley and spring onion and some chili and olive oil and juice, just like very kind of I mean, I think. All the best things are kind of very like herbaceous and like kind of quite rich, but also sort of that light Mediterranean summery sort of crossover as well. I think all those flavors kind of make people think of the Mediterranean coast, and
and I think it's nice with those kinds of dishes that you can take your time with and like rip into, and I don't know. I was just been reading Annie Smither's new memoir / it's mainly a memoir with some recipes, and she talks about learning about the Provençal aioli, which is obviously there's the aioli sauce, but all the things that go with it, and I think the Mediterranean people, society, seem to enjoy those dishes that take time. And I really like it. It's a nice way to eat, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's high on my list of. I've not been to Europe. I mean, I've travelled quite extensively through sort of Asia and Latin America, but haven't done Europe so much. But I think that's sort of high on the list for sure. And I think everyone I know who's travelled just says the food is mind-blowing and just so fresh and so produce-driven and just like I think people love their food there, and I think it's very passionate.
Yeah.
And there's so much heritage as well. It's sort of things that have been passed down.
That's right.
Yeah.
And where did it all start for you? Did you? I mean, obviously you're a DJ, but when did you decide to become a chef?
I think in my. I mean, I think I found a lot of passion when I was still quite young, sort of 10 or so. My mum, she'd studied home economics, and she had my brother and I, so kind of ended up dropping out of school, but she had a real passion for food and had a lot of cookbooks, and I think I kind of developed a passion for cooking. I was always really interested by kind of Asian food before they were really, like more than the local kind of suburban Chinese place. So I always wanted to cook like Peking duck and like those dishes that you couldn't really get anywhere that I'd read about and was just really excited by. And I think all through high school I'd sort of thought that it was something that I wanted to do, and then went into a science degree after high school, like a marine science degree, which I kind of wasn't really that interested in, and kind of dropped out. Then was traveling for a few years, and I thought, I think I'm gonna finally bite the bullet, and something I was interested in for so long, and something I thought that I could, do like almost anywhere in the world and travel with, and so I think I definitely started a bit later, my apprenticeship, than I think a lot of people. I was sort of 24 when I started.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years traveling, and but again, like very, very interested in music and sort of film and all that sort of stuff, and I think just wanted to do something creative as well. I think always sort of had that drive to be creative in a career. I think that's always been something I've wanted to do. I think there is a lot of unglamorous parts of cooking, but I think that's any career really. I think there's always parts of the job that are not to everyone's taste, but kind of essential. And I think a lot of that stuff, having kind of cooked for 15 years or so, I think kind of developed a lot of skills that relevant to everyday life, and kind of outside of being able to cook delicious food for my friends and family, and do a job that's creatively fulfilling. I think there's lots of crossover into just sort of being able to organise and.
Well, I think that whole mise en place idea is a philosophy for life. Like when you've got everything ready to go, and it's that order, isn't it? And anticipating what's coming. But I was talking to someone recently, and I'm always in awe of, I guess, the techniques that chefs have, and just that real practical way of approaching things. It's a real problem-solving job as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think there's it's often a lot of sort of flash fires. Things are always popping up. Lots of heat at the moment. Kind of like. How am I going to deal with this? How am I going to handle this? And having to think on your feet a lot, and which is, exciting sometimes, and sometimes awful.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes incredibly stressful. I think,
of course.
As everyone knows, I think working in kitchens is not a cakewalk by any means, but it's incredibly fulfilling in some ways as well. I don't think I've ever done anything that's so rewarding at the end of the night once you get through it all. And I think that same thing of like having so many problems come up and getting through them as a team, and like by the end of the night, it's all kind of like no matter what's happened, no matter how angry whatever the head chef's gotten, or by the end of it, everyone's having a beer together, and it's very like it's very team kind of spirit sort of.
Well, you're feeding people, aren't you? And I think that's. I mean, eating delicious food is such a treat. It's so good. Everyone, so I think making people happy.
For sure.
It's an incredible job, and I think but then I like cooking, but I couldn't do it night after night at the volume that you do it at all different times, like getting all the timing and everything. So I think it probably does take a certain type of personality or approach to be a chef.
I think so. And a little bit of a masochist personality. Especially to get through the early years, I think. In the training sort of side of things, I think it takes a thick skin, and I think like a lot of people have incredible cooking talents in terms of home cooks, and like some of my friends cook like food that's more delicious than I cook, or I think it's always nice having other people cook for you anyway, but I think the difference between someone who's like has a great palate and is a fantastic cook is a very different thing than working in a kitchen, commercial kitchen. I think it sort of takes a completely different skill set. I think sometimes like the actual cooking elements of it take a backseat to the actual logistic
that's right.
elements of it, for sure.
And then you've got all the other aspects of leadership, I guess, too, like, as a head chef. And if you've, just because I just was reading this book today, so it's all in my head, it's Annie Smith's memoir, but she's talking about when you move from kitchen to kitchen, it's such an intense group when you're there, because you're there for, hours and often a small space or whatever, putting up these things, and then you move on. Like, how do you make that transition, or how do you enter a team here, for example, and not make them your own, but work with them?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. This is my first head chef role.
Oh, okay.
So I've done a little bit of private chef work, and worked in a few kitchens where I was the only chef, but the first time I've actually had a team.
Okay.
But I mean, as I was learning and kind of coming up, and sort of, I think most kitchens for me have been like, I think a lot of chefs tend to have kind of quite a high turnover in terms of, they bounce around kitchens fairly regularly. And I mean, I do think, there is, you have to have a certain amount of adaptability but also I think having skills that you've learned from one chef and being able to bring that to a new kitchen, I think you're kind of always learning, and like some places will be completely at odds with what you've learned at the last place, and then some places you kind of bring something new and they'll be like, oh, amazing. But I mean, that can sometimes come down to ego as well with what kind of chef you're working with. But I think coming into a restaurant where I'm kind of have a few people under me and sort of training, I'm finding that really exciting. And I think I think like we were saying earlier, having to sort of change the ideas that I have depending on what clientele and what venue it is. I imagine in the future, kind of like, again, it's sort of that same adaptability. It's something you sort of have to, I think, learn as a chef. If you're very rigid and kind of closed-minded, I suppose, it's got to make things more difficult, I think, in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah. And so with your experience and life experience in mind, what would your advice be to young people starting out as chefs?
I think, stick it out, for one. Because I think it is like a lot of people start and find it very difficult, and the hours are quite grueling, and it's I think it gets better. And I think it's exciting. I think it's a really sort of like I think I was saying before, just that feeling of accomplishment and how rewarding it is. It's a really incredible career, and I think being able to travel with it and I think move around and learn, and I think it's I think especially now it's a lot better than I think when I was sort of coming up as an apprentice. A lot of kind of unfair working conditions in terms of pay and which I think is now a lot better than it has been in the past. So yeah, I think it's like a great time to start. And there's I think a lot more awareness of mental health, and people are not sort of like letting chefs burn out like they used to and pushing them to the end of the tether. And I think it's a really like great time to start, and lots of really intelligent people doing really intelligent things, and I think it's it's a good time. It's a good time in Melbourne.
Thank you.
Yeah, very welcome.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Conversation with a Chef with John Cassie at the Wine Corner store in Carlton North. You can check out the lovely food and wine and glorious times on Instagram at the Wine Corner Carlton. That's all one word. Or better still, just go. If you'd like to hear more stories from other chefs, I'm on Instagram at Conversation with a Chef. You can read the chat and become a subscriber at www.conversationwithachef.com. And of course, you can follow me on Apple and Spotify podcasts. I would love it if you told a friend about my chats, because that's still the best way to get the stories out there. Once again, thanks so much for listening. Have a great day and bon appétit.